Now we are starting microorganisms. Say, what are microorganisms? Microorganisms are organisms that cannot be seen with the naked eye. So that is microorganisms. What you can see here is a picture of microorganisms. So this is yeast. They are observing yeast. So a sample of coconut water, a glass slide, and a cover slip. And so on, you know this experiment, unicellular, single celled or multicellular. එහෙම කියන එකේ ලොකු තේරුමකුත් නැහැ. unicellular or multicellular. එච්චරනේ ජාති තියෙන්නේ. So organisms that cannot be or which are invisible to the naked eye when taken individually are called microorganisms. This one is really important in a way. If you think, when taken individually, as a whole we can see them. දැන් අපිට සමස්තයක් විදියට දේවල් පේනවා. ඒ කියලා කියන්නේ ඈත තියෙන ගස් අපිට පේන ඔකොල පාට, but individual ගස් පේන්නේ නැහැ. ඒතර අපිට ගස් පේනවා කියලා කියන්න බෑ. So in the similar manner, so we cannot examine microorganisms individually, but as a whole, when they are there, we can see the color. Clear? So seeing the color is not seeing the microorganisms. If we can see them separately, that is seeing microorganisms. Yeah. So they would ask you this question: what sort of microorganisms are they? So this is, what is this? This one is bacteria. This one is yeast. How do you recognize these? Very tiny spherical parts, bola wage ewa. And the chlamydomonas, this is green in color. You cannot observe green in color in your paper given, but you can see the two not antennas, we call them flagella. We call them flagella. Yeah, flagella. This is basically mucor. Mucor is, this is, yeah, that is what we call, the general idea is fungus. This is fungus. Fungus singular, fungi plural. And this one is amoeba. So these tiny parts, projecting parts, are called pseudopodia, Vyajapada. And this is paramecium. Okay, paramecium. And this is Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, he was the person first, yeah, okay, first observed microorganisms in 1674. He is, yeah, oh, that is bacteria. So he observed bacteria even. So what he did was, it's this, I mean, extract from teeth. Teeth means very tiny bits of organic materials you find in teeth. Was observed, and he recognized, he found, discovered bacteria. And so the credit for discovering bacteria again goes to him. Clear? That is it. And effects of microorganisms on food. So then there are, yeah, the food go bad. That is, we call, what do we call that? Food going bad, rotting, spoilage of food. Basically in science we call it spoilage of food. So here in this activity, they expect you to observe different types of food: the color, the texture, the odor, appearance, and bread, and some other, not only bread, but also you have to use different types of food. So better if you take protein, carbohydrate, lipids, and different sorts of food for doing this experiment. A slice of bread, some water, and then in this activity you are expected to expected to set aside a wet piece of bread for some time, for 1 week or so, and then you will observe that development of mucor, that is what we call fungi. Yeah, so first the patches, and they become black in color. They become black in color, you notice, black in color. This is under microscope, light microscope, otherwise you cannot see this picture. This is under light microscope. Well, they become black when they do reproduction. Clear? Reproduction. You have the book, yeah. When they have reproduction, they become black in color when they are matured. That is it. That is what they say. So, what is this? This is you need sugar, yeast, a balloon, warm water, that is 40 degrees of Celsius. Otherwise, the water kills bacteria if it is too hot. Clear? And then bottle, whatever it is. What you have to do is you should have a sugary solution, sini solution එකක් ඔබට ඕනි. And then you add yeast, some amount of yeast, and then sugar yeast mixture you can see. So you can see little sort of bubbling. නිකන් පෙන පෙන දාලා වගේ පේනවා අපිට මේක ටික වෙලාවක් යනකොට. So it indicates that they produce gas. So if you do this in a different way and you have a bottle and that mixture, newly prepared mixture, අරගෙන හරියන්නේ නැහැ. Newly prepared sort of mixture, the same mixture is in the bottle, and then you fix a balloon to the bottle this way, and then finally you would find that the balloon inflates as there comes a gas. The gas is coming from the bottle. That gas is, you know, what is the gas? Carbon dioxide. Who is producing carbon dioxide? Yeast is producing carbon dioxide. What is the process in which yeast produces carbon dioxide? Respiration, anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is respiration that is, respiration not using oxygen. Oxygen is not used in that particular respiration. If they don't have oxygen, they do anaerobic respiration. They can do respiration without oxygen. That is what we call anaerobic respiration. And another very important feature of yeast is used in bakery industry. In bakery industry, this is the dough we prepare. Prepare කරගත්ත පිටි ගුලිය තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒ පිටි ගුලිය අනනකොට we have added some amount of yeast. Basically now we are not using yeast, generally use baking powder. We just think that we have used yeast here in this. And then what they do is yeast cannot have oxygen inside the pang area, this dough. Then what they do is, as they have no oxygen, they need respiration to get energy. So as they cannot find oxygen, they do anaerobic respiration. By doing anaerobic respiration, they produce carbon dioxide. So that is the reason why dough freezing, මේ ගෙඩිය ලොකු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. මේක තියෙද්දිම ඇතුලේ bubbles එනේ ඉන්න මොන bubbles? Carbon dioxide bubbles. Then you put this in the oven. When you no ඒක තමයි මේකෙත් තියෙනවා ඒක. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක පිම්බිලා තියෙන්නේ. එයා bubbles ඉන්න මේක තාම මේ oven එකට දාලා නැහැ. එතකොට තමයි මුදල් මේ අර බක්කරේ වැඩ කරන මිනිහා අවිල්ල වෙරලා වටහා ගන්න මේක දැන් oven එකට දාන්න සුදුසුයි කියලා. මේ වෙලාවේ දාන්නේ නැහැ. හරිද? He knows that indirectly he knows that there are carbon dioxide bubbles in this. He has no idea of air bubbles, but he knows that this is the time. And then he places this inside the oven, and then you know that thermal expansion of gases. Gas expand due to the high temperature, and then bubbles become bigger. That is why this becomes bigger, and we find tiny pores, tiny air pockets inside Pangadia when you cut it. And these three words are really important. They would ask you fermentation, putrefaction. You can notice P. P is protein. P is protein. So putrefaction, a කුණු වීම. සතෙක් මරුණාම ගඳ ගහන්නේ putrefaction කුණු වීම. Putrefaction, microbial activity on protein. So fermentation, rancidity. No, rancidity not sugar. Oil, fat and oil, that is lipids. Fat and oil, lipids. කැවුම් අපි අර අවුරුද්දට කැවුම් කාලා පෙරේතකමට තියා තියලා ඉවර වෙලා ටින්නස්සේ ඊට පස්සේ වෙසක් එකට අරන් බලනකොට අමුතු ගඳක් එන මුඩු වෙලා ඒක තමයි rancidity. Fermentation is passive, that is microbial activity එකක්. There are different types of fermentation. This is alcoholic fermentation. So fermentation is named thinking about the product. So when alcohol is produced, we call it alcoholic fermentation. There are acid fermentation and things like this. But here in starchy materials, what we find basically by yeast is alcoholic Fermentation, that is fermentation. So fermentation, carbohydrate, you remember? Carbohydrate, putrefaction, protein, rancidity, oil. Yeah. Impact of microorganisms, human and their activities. Beneficial effects of microorganisms are beneficial in a way. When we think about microorganisms, we generally think microorganisms are bad, but microorganisms do a lot of good things. But වේගෙන් කියන්නේ කමක් නැහැ නේද රිවිෂන් එකක් හින්දා. Benefit effects of microorganisms. Since ancient times, man has been using microorganisms in different industries. මේක තමයි පරණම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකක් ලෝකේ. මොකද්ද? Bakery dairy products මෙතන තියෙන්නේ නැහැ. Bakery products. මේවා මිනිස්සු ඒ කාලේ ඉඳන් පාන් හදාගෙන පාන් නෙමෙයි. මේ මත්පැන් හදන එක. තේරෙනවද? ඒක බොහොම කන්න බොන්නත් කලින් මිනිස්සු වටහාගත් එකක් මේ නරක මිනිස්සු ටික නේද? The ancient times, man has been using microorganisms in different industries. Some examples are there. So, producing curd. Producing curd. Hello? Yeah. Producing curd. Producing yogurt, that is dairy products, that is milk products. This is also dairy product. Bakery products. Producing antibiotics. Antibiotics are produced basically by what do we call bacteria, and they produced by fungi initially. That is, it was the first antibiotic is discovered by Alexander Fleming. That is penicillin. Yeah. Producing vaccines. Producing vinegar and alcohol. Vinegar is an acid, you know, that acetic acid. And food mushrooms, making compost. These days it's really popular topic, compost. Yeah. Producing biogas. Biogas is methane actually. Biogas is methane. Yes, methane is CH4. Carbon contains 4 hydrogen. You don't want that. Methane. And cocoa industry. Cocoa industry. Microorganisms decomposes dead plant animal matter. Decomposing. Clear? Decomposing. You remember? Decomposition. So, by decomposing material, they give us the room for living, room for our existence. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for us to be here. ලෝකේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම මලකුණු ටික දැන් වසර බිලියන ගාණක් තිස්සේ තියෙනවා තියුණා නම් අපිත් නෑ නේද, right? Microbes are also used to control pests. Yeah, pest controlling. Bacillus thuringiensis විවිධ ඒවා පස්සේ කතා කරයි. Harmful effects of microorganisms. Microorganisms are not always good, and microorganisms are sometimes bad. And what do we call what happens to the food? What do we call it? Rotting food, spoilage of food. Spoilage of food is one thing. You can see carrot or whatever, any food is spoiled. The reason behind this basically is microorganisms are living things. They don't do jobs, you know. They are not going to teach, or they are not going to hospitals to treat people. What they do is they eat whatever food they find. So therefore, when we take food, when we have food, they eat it. So no harm done. That is, it is not a bad thing, because before our taking food, microorganisms start taking food. The world's first organisms are microorganisms. We are eating their food actually. When we think about that way, you know, right? We are eating their food. You know, they were using all these things first, not ourselves. Infectious diseases used to man. Virus. Yeah, common cold virus, dengue virus, AIDS virus, yeah. Bacteria, tuberculosis. Bacteria nikan tube එක වගේ නෙමෙයි. So tuberculosis comes from bacteria. Yes sir. Leprosy, typhoid fever, typhoid උණ. බැක්ටීරියාට හොඳට මූණ හොඳේ. මේක තර්මෝමීටර් එක වගේ නේ බැක්ටීරියා. කියන උණ බලන්නේ බැක්ටීරියාව දාලා එන typhoid fever, you remember? Yeah. මෙතන වෙනින් ටී එකක් කොහෙන් හරි දෙන්න පුළුවන් හොඳේ පරිස්සම් වෙන්න. මේවා දුන්නොත් tuberculosis bacteria, typhoid fever bacteria, protozoaට ටී තියෙනවා හරි. එතන problem එක. typhoid fever, leprosy. malaria protozoa, malaria හදන්නේ plasmodium vivax කියන පොඩි එකක්. leishmaniasis, amoebiasis, you know that it is protozoa. Pityriasis and so කුණු වීම. ඔබට මේ දෙන විදිහට මේ අපි ලොකුවට කතා කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. විදිහට බලා ගන්න. මෙතෙන් ලොකු වෙලාව මතක තියාගන්න ගියොත් dengue patient, leprosy, fungi, pityriasis, aluham, lapakalal. Infectious disease to animals. A dog suffering from hydrophobia, පිස්සු බලු රෝගය. ලංකාවේ ගොඩක් කට්ටියට තියෙන රෝගයක් දැන්. බල්ලන්ට අනික් කට්ටියට තියෙන්නේ. A bull suffering from foot and mouth disease. මුඛ සහ කුර රෝගය. A cow suffering from mastitis. Infectious diseases used to plants. A potato plant with blight. පශ්චිම අංගමාරය. මේකට අපි කියන්නේ සිංහලෙන් පශ්චිම අංගමාරය. That is late blight කියලා අපි කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම blight. මේක මේ අයර්ලන්ඩ් වල මිනිස්සු විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් මැරුණා මේකෙන් අපි කතා කරා. අල කේස් එක. potato අපි ක්ලාස් ලෙසන් එකේදී කරා. අල විතරයි කෑයෝ. Papo leaves with mosaic disease. Mosaic කියන්නේ විචිත්‍ර. මේ විචිත්‍ර කියලා කියන්නේ මෙහෙම රැලි වැටෙනවා කියන එක. Mosaic, the meaning of the word is විචිත්‍ර. Mosaic චිත්‍රාන්තර කොට එහෙම කියනවා mosaic patterns කියලා. කියන්නේ විචිත්‍ර නිකන් විවිධ හැඩතල තියෙන කියන එක idea එක. Mosaic art, yes. Silly plant with leaf curl sickness, you can see that. You understand what that is. Fungi on clothes, fungi on walls, fungi basically microorganisms destroys things that are important to us. Maybe furniture, maybe our books, maybe different things, not only food, but also most of the materials are destroyed by microorganisms. They were doing this, before, so they have been doing this for a few billions of years, you know, right? Microorganisms, billions of years mean not your furniture, but the woody material, you know, right? ගස් පෙරලපන් ඒවා කනවා ඒ කාලේ. අපේ අයියලා ගස් වලින් අල්මාරිය හදුවට මොනව කරන්නේද? නේද? කවුද කිව්වේ අල්මාරිය හදන්නේ කියලා ගස් කපලා. හරි. එතකොට ඒ පාඩම ඉවරයි. Yeah.